Hold on. Let me welcome everybody if you're watching this.
All right. So you guys can see my screen now.
Yeah, hold up.
All right.
Hold on. Let me this window. There we go. All right. Looks good to me.
All right. You guys see it okay? Everything okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So what I have here is this list here is my broadening formation list that I scan every day, a couple of times a day, just to see what's out there. And as far as broadening formations, where are we at? And so we'll start with builder's first choice, monthly. Obviously, we got a 2 down on the month. It's taken out all this and looks like we're going to the lows here.
So you have the normal, like you have a watch list of stuff that, like I remember one day you were like Dollar General and like you kind of have your list that you're always following, or?
This is kind of my list here.
Yeah.
Okay. And I scan it every day. I scan this list every day.
Okay, cool.
Let's see, we got.
Yeah, TrendSpider is really cool. I like TrendSpider.
I use TrendSpider and I use TradingView also on my other computer. But this kind of gives me setups. Where are we at, for the week? I'll look at, okay, where are we at on the week? What's the best setup? This one went from a 2 up to a 2 into a 1 here. This is an inside week pointing, with a shooter, realistically. So next week, I would look at that as a shooter for a continuation to fill this gap. So today, SPY, tonight, I was looking at SPY, and, we're green on the month, but the week, you look at our week here, we're a failed 2 up, and there's this gap right here. That's why I went.
Yeah.
And today, here, we're starting to break under the 9 EMA. Here's our gap again, right here. And it looks like it wants to fill that gap. That's why I went short when I did. Do a 15-minute chart.
Yeah, so
right here's where.
Yeah, do you want to go over today when you went short, or you made a short trade today?
I did. Right here.
Oh, okay. That failed, that rejection. Yeah.
Right.
I made the same trade.
Rejection right here. I got in this trade right here at 585.19. When it broke down below this, I knew it would cover this range. And I knew where my broadening formation was at. And you can see we're sitting there. And this is a 15-minute chart. And my money flow, it's bearish, money's pointing down. Even you go to the hourly chart, same thing. We've got a shooter. It's actually it's an inside hour, but once we lose 582, 180, I fully believe we come down here. At least to here, 577 area.
That gap kind of.
All right, look, the money flow index. I use the money flow index because it doesn't matter what indicator you use, they're all a laggard, guys. Everything's a laggard. You know, if I'm just walking around the stage and you're following me, and I turn around and ask you, where am I going? You say, I don't know. Where are you going? Well, I don't know. You're following me.
Right.
Oh, but money flow, I found the money flow index gives a better idea of whether there's money coming in or going out. And right now, the money is going out. And when you go, and no matter what you look at, everything, well, pulled back today. Bristol Myers, it really looks like it wants to come down. I trade the strat, as you guys know, that's the numbers on the candles. Here's a failed 2 up on the day to a 2 down. So it's going to want to take out this guy. So this would be next here, then here, and then I would look for support right around the bottom of this, right around this area here. And if it loses that, which you can see this wick here, that about lines up there. So I would think this to make a new low in the next couple of days. That's kind of how I trade. And lately, I haven't been very good at it.
Well, I mean, so yeah, you bring what you've studied in the past with, you know, what you see in the chat and we do. How has that marriage been? How has that been a big adjustment, or is that kind of like been?
No, it hasn't been. Actually, I actually kind of had to take everything I learned in the past and throw it out the window to a point, because, you know, I was taught just originally, just a basic support and resistance. Let's go. So I would basically just look at a basic support and resistance and try to trade off of that. And that, with options, that never really made me any money per se. Mm-hmm. So I ended up having to, that's when I did the honeycomb education. And I started looking at levels. So then I started learning the strat. So now I look for levels of reclaim. And what I mean by levels of reclaim,
right?
For instance, let's go Meta is on let's go daily chart on Meta. So I look at the 4 big time frames: monthly, weekly, daily, hourly. This one isn't even very good. Maybe go back to SPY. SPY is easier to find levels of reclaim on. So what I mean by level as reclaim is I use a candle as a range.
Yeah.
So, and each candle I use as a range. So this one, like this candle here, it could, with the EMAs, it wants to take out a range. So this one started here, started coming down. Once it started coming through the range of this body right here, this body, it wants to go to the other side of the wick range, which is here. And it did. It went clear down here, made a new low.
Yeah.
This one started here, brought it up, and they sold it back down. So this shows me it's selling it back down through this range. They bought it halfway, 3/4 of the way up through this one, and now they're selling it back down through the range. If this candle would, in the next hour on this candle, I suspect would have finished coming through this body, through this wick to make a new low into here. And you can see that support right there. And that's where I would have expected the next little bounce to be.
Yeah, it's nice to see a candle body and then another wick confirm the candle body and vice versa. When you have a candle body confirm a wick, then you're getting that that price action that's confirming. Like today on SPY, before the drop, we had that pop, and then the next candle body didn't go up, and it was that new high drop. It was super bearish. Yeah, on that the high of the day spot, basically double top yesterday.
Here's a 2-2 reversal, color changing reversal pattern. I've talked about this, you guys.
Yeah,
I've talked about this many times. You got a 2 down and a failed 2 down. They sold it down, they bought it up. Right here, this one opened, and now they want to take out this range, this one, and this one, and they did that. So once they start coming back through the range, all of these shorts have to start closing positions, and that creates momentum and buying pressure. Here, we failed. Color changing reversal right here on a 5-minute chart. Bringing it back through the range. Now, I suspect we're headed towards the bottom of the broadening formation. I draw, you can see my lines I've got drawn here. So now I suspect we're going to come back down and retest this area. Mm-hmm. If not, a little lower tomorrow.
Yeah,
we lose this.
We talked a lot about tomorrow, when you retest the slope, it's lower. On a downtrend, it's going to be lower. The slope is lower. That's why you come lower than higher. You get that last touch, and people are like, "Oh, it wicked me out." And I'm like, "Well, if you see the slope, you're just coming back down to it." And I drew this. So this is on my screen right now. That falling wedge that's on yours. So that's good.
Right here. So right here is where I got in the. Well, no, it was right here is where I got in the trade. This bear flag right here. When this failed, this area right here, I saw this come up and I watched this 2 up fail here. When this 1 broke to a 2 down, that was an inside bar break. One of my favorite setups is an inside bar or a double inside bar break, either up or down. When it broke here, I knew it was coming. It was going to come back through this range. I knew I was good till back till at least 584. Well, it just kept on going, and then we had an inside. Then we had kind of a inside bar. It didn't. Yes, it broke below this one, but it didn't really. And it come up. It tested the 9 and dumped again. Come up halfway up and dumped again. Mm-hmm. Now, I should have taken profit here probably, but I stayed in. And I thought, tomorrow, I think looking at it, I was looking at the 1 hour chart, the 30-minute and the 1 hour chart. And I thought, when I saw this come up and start selling back down, I decided I'm going to go ahead and swing this Friday. Yeah. And that's Friday's 579 call. I bought a single Friday expiration 579 call because I believe this is going to come back down and through this range.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
And if we follow that newer low before newer high thing, whether we get a new low before newer high or just straight flush down to like 565s, you're still going to take that out either way. So that's kind of,
failed 5,900. It broke above it and then failed. And when it started to fail, I was busy today, or else I'd have probably got in shorts a lot earlier. I kind of knew it was going to come down, but I waited for it to make its real first bear flag right here to get in. To see if just because it would decide to reverse, it basically all but come up, tested the bottom of the broadening formation on the 30-minute chart, and then failed again. yes, the money flow index here is showing the last 30 minutes, people were buying, but that is just people closing out 0 DTE positions. That's all that is. That didn't worry me at all.
Yeah.
And I do believe tomorrow we come on down.
Yeah.
I will look for support in this area right here. You know, I may start looking for a little bit of bounce right here, but it could just cut right through it.
Yeah, future's pretty flat. So the last hourly green candle, you know, that's kind of what I'd be watching at 586, upper 586.
Yep.
And let me see. Let me,
you know, they bought it up early in the hour and then sold it back down the last part of the hour.
yeah.
So there was more selling pressure, which means weakness into the close than there was buying. And look at our money flow. That doesn't even show an iota on the hour of money flowing into the S&P.
Not to mention that the high of the day candle for today on the hourly is
right,
a
right
reversal
here.
doji. That's a bearish abandoned baby pattern. A bearish abandoned baby. So that's as soon as you get under that on the hourly, it's a wrap for bulls. And same with the other way. If it was on the swing low, it'd be a wrap for bears coming up.
Well, the other thing, look at where your 9 crossed your VWAP right there. Right there.
Yeah. On the
doji.
9
and 10 o'clock. When the 9 crosses the VWAP, it's over with. And I mean over with. Or no, the 20. Sorry, that's the 20.
Yeah.
The red is 20, the green is 9. Here's VWAP.
Okay, I use the 21, but same thing, close, basically same thing. So
it is. It's only 1 day.
Yeah.
When that dropped right there on an hourly chart, that pretty much told you it was gonna fall.
Yeah.
And look at our peak here. Look at the exact same time, right here. The money started flowing out first thing this morning.
Look at that divergence too. With the last time it was there yesterday, like late day,
right?
Kind of crossed under them, but price was lower. So it was a lower high, and then the oscillator was down as well. So been trending lower since the Monday. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, right here.
Monday.
Late
Monday.
Oh, right here. This was the 19th. Right here is where we topped out.
Yep. We kind of bear flagged to yesterday. It was
right.
It was super top, but we never. And then the drop was today. Wow.
Here's your triple top. 1, 2, 3, over with, and there it fell.
And today, Nvidia too, intraday on the 5-minute. I was like, we got a double top right now, Nvidia, and that was right before the drop. And as I say all the time in chat, when I see it, I never long under a double top. It's very, very rare.
Okay, here's our weekly broadening formations.
Ooh, shooting star on Nvidia. Look at that for today.
Right. That's the week. That's this week.
Yep.
So,
bearish shooting star.
You know, look how far off the 9 we are. Okay. And this is something I also talked about. You know, it usually likes to come back and retest the 9. I don't care what chart, what time frame you're on. It will come back and retest the 9 daily. Look at this. So I suspect tomorrow we come down into the under 130 tomorrow. Which this is starting to roll over. Look at here. Look at our oscillator, our MFI. It topped out right there, May 16th. They've been pulling money ever since. Starting to hook over. So I would look forward to catch, down in here, which puts you back in the 125 area. I would look for support about one.
Massive flush on that today. Nvidia led the charge down. Go to like the 5-minute for today. That's where I saw the the very top of your screen. That second push, even if it got higher, like SPY did. SPY actually got higher, but I was like, we still have a double top. SPY, it's even more bearish to go higher.
Look, here's my line. Look at this. Hit the top of the broadening form. Hit the top of the broadening formation. Started coming down.
You drew that line?
What's that?
That line, the broadening formation, you drew it yourself?
No, I've actually got mine. I built a scanner in TrendSpider that puts it in for me automatically.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It saves a lot of time and headache.
But this is exactly why you have a VOMI, though. When I say VOMI, just like when we started, we said on a lower slope, you get the new low, then up. Look at his wedge or his megaphone line, guys. You touch, if he would have touched on NVIDIA, the megaphone to the top side, it's a higher retest and then lower. That's why you get the VOMI pattern. And it looks like a dolphin because you have the dorsal fin and then the nose, the bottleneck dolphin nose. That's so on SPY we got a little bit higher, and it's retest that uptrend line on the top of the megaphone. That's why it's higher. People think it's like, oh, new high a day, we're bullish. No, you're not bullish. You have to go above that, then retest it. Now you're bullish.
Yeah. Yes, and it did not. It failed.
Exactly.
It failed right here. You know, and now we've pulled back. So tomorrow, it's 5-minute chart, 15-minute chart, whatever. Look, even the 15. Here's the broadening formation on the 15-minute chart.
Yep. And then you look at the gaps on the left side like you were doing on SPY. If you lose the broadening formation, you have that flag at 129 or whatever.
Here. Right here?
Yeah.
But if you lose 129.92, this was a pretty main support right here. You see it chopped right here. Support. And that was last week when it was struggling with that 130. And that morning it gapped over it. It had to gap over it to get above it. And then it retested it right here, in this area here, retested the top side of it and took off. And then we've pretty much just chop. And now we've broke back down. So we've retested the top of it here, it come back, but we failed. This is a failed 2-up. It hit the 9 EMA and it failed. It's going to come back through the range of this and make a new low. It will go to the other side of the range. And the bottom of the broadening formation is below that, which is 130.30.
Yeah.
Right there.
And then what I do, like last night on my YouTube, is the top of the megaphone, draw a trend line from the top of the megaphone to where we're at right now, and then you have that immediate trend line to play, because you could play calls to the top of the megaphone that's broadening, you're going to get a new high. So
this is the channel I drew a while back.
Oh, extend that. I bet you it's going to touch it.
So now, yeah, look at where we're at. Look at that.
So right if we do bounce off that tomorrow morning, we're going to get even higher on the megaphone, the one you just were on.
We very well could, yes. Yes, we very well could. And the other thing to take note of with NVIDIA is look at our money flow. Right here. We're starting to, it's picked up support in the past right here. Right there. You see where we picked up support right here? And look, money started flowing back in on the hourly. Now that could have just been closing of positions last hour of the day, which is, I'm sure there was some pretty heavy shorts and some profit taking place here, because I know I'm not the only one with that line drawn. I'm sure of it. But I would not be surprised to see if we drop back into this channel and test the bottom of this channel one more time. yes, we are in an uptrend. It's still an uptrend, and this is a pullback. But we have a gap right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that we're fill that gap. Where would that put you? Right at the bottom of that trend line. So I would put 130.80 on watch tomorrow for a short. Under 130.50, I would go short. Because that means you're breaking through that trend line. When you break through that trend line on a 1 hour chart, it's going to come back to here before it picks up support again, which is 123.30 area, 124.
And it could trickle down on the bottom of your megaphone, like as far as what slope it takes to the downside.
It very well can. It very well can. Let's see. That was on the weekly. Nope, that was daily. Daily had a megaphone. No, it didn't. 15 minutes.
Justin, tell us, how did you first hear about trading, get into it?
So last year, well, 2 years ago, I had a Robinhood account that I opened, I don't know, 4 years ago or something, and I threw $100 in some silly stock. Well, last year, or 2 years ago, I got a notification about it. I thought, oh, that's cool. So I went in and looked at it, and I moved some money around, and I put some money in some other stuff. And I'm like, well, let's see what this does. Well, I let it sit there for a year, and it grew up a couple grand, and it started with a couple $100. I'm like, oh, I can actually make money doing this. So last year, I really started paying attention to what was going on and wanting to see if I could make money doing this. And the more I got into it, the more intrigued I got with it. And so I really started studying penny stocks. And that's how I got tied up with Timothy Sykes. And that ended up just being a money costing disaster. And then I got hooked up with Sean Deckmar Trades. And he actually taught me how to trade penny stocks and make money.
Yeah.
Trading penny stocks.
Is he the redhead guy?
Well, one day he was trading the SPY options. So then I decided, oh, he made a shitload of money in just a few minutes trading options. So then I started learning options. Well, self-teaching options does not work. And that's when I found Honey. And I started watching Amy on X. And I hit you up one day, remember? I'm like, about accounts. And
we were DMing,
Yeah, and we started chatting back and forth a little bit. And then I started checking out the Discord and started watching you guys. And I joined the Discord and I never looked back. And it's been some of the best education out there. It is the best education out there. And that's when I started building trade plans and rules and whatnot. And then this year, I found the strat, and it made sense. The price action of the strat makes sense to me, because then I start looking at each candle as a range. This range to this range, this range and this range.
Right.
So now I go, okay, well, if we go up past this and we fail and we start coming back through, it's going to go to the other side of this range, at least. Okay, well, from 132, when you enter here, you're 132. So say you took that short at 132 and you bought 130 puts. Well, if that comes all the way down here to 130.72, even on a single contract, that's probably a $50 move on a single contract. So I started looking at these as ranges, mostly lately, and then I started That's when I started looking for color changing reversal pattern here, right here, color changing reversal pattern. So now where is this going to go? Back through this range. When it breaks that range, it's going to come back through this range. When it loop, and then it's going to come back through this range. And then what does it do? It makes a new low. And now we've got from here, you can come from here to here, the broadening formation. Now we make a new low on the broadening formation. When it make, and look for the reversal pattern there. The bottom of the broadening formation, or trend line, you could draw a 5-minute trend line right here. And you could start looking for, when it hits that trend line, start looking for one of these color changing reversal patterns right here. 2 down, 2 up, hammer. And that's a Momo hammer. Momentum hammer is what I call them. Why? Because they were buying it up when this candle closed, they were buying it up with momentum. Look what it did, jumped over. Still has momentum. Cleared here, had momentum. Started pulling back a little bit, some profit taking.
Yeah.
Next one took off. And then you start, it hit the line. Look for the color changing reversal pattern. Here, started changing color. When it starts changing color, it's going to start coming back through this range. But you have to wait for the color change.
Are these the Heiken Hashi candles?
Color change.
Oh no, these are
color change confirmation.
These are the regular candles too. So
yeah,
yeah,
yes, and it makes it easy to see.
Right.
When that color changes here or here, that means the price is reversing.
Right. Plus, you're in a downtrend. Like, look at the downtrend. You have at what, a 2-hour downtrend at that point?
Yeah.
So,
but look at it. Here it is. Here's your pole. Here's your bear flag. Okay. Look for the color change in your bear flag. When that bear flag started to change colors, what's the bear flag going to do? It's going to break down. What is what is your favorite pattern? Bear flag. Draw the line right here. When it breaks that line and it breaks the trend line, it's changed. It's changed color here. And now we're going to come back through this range.
Yeah, you
can draw a broadening formation here.
I love bear flags because you play the bear flag down, you take profits, and I love how if you get a long base on a bear flag, and then the next bear flag has a shorter base, that means it's setting up for reversal, because bears are not letting it sit at a spot that long anymore. It's sitting at a spot for less time, which means they're starting to lose interest, right? They've already caught from 20 points. Now they're catching 10 or 5. And so when you have the bear flags that start to get smaller in base, now you've created a falling wedge that'll break out. And I don't see bear flags that are small and then base. It's like, it does happen, but it's very rare, right? So you just have 2 patterns. You're like, oh, cool, bear flag down, I'm in. If we break this falling wedge, I can get long, especially on the retest, especially when the retest is lower. That's even more. Just like today on the drop from SPY, we had the retest higher, right? New high a day by a few pennies and just flushed. And I wanted to be like puts, but I've been saying I will not short this market. So I didn't want to say that. And I still got like 80% on puts or whatever I did. And then the second entry was like 50 or whatever. But we had to break that big structure because every day the dip has been bought except for today. So
that's true. It has. Here to look here's a broadening formation right here. Right there. 5-minute broadening formation. From the top of this 3. A 3 bar is an outside bar. Okay. It took out the top of this range and the bottom of this range. had enough power to buy it up above it, and then sold it back down through it. Okay, so now we've got a 3-bar here. Okay, we made new low. Next one, sold it down, made new low, started coming up. So here's the bottom of our broadening formation. Here's the top, right here. So now where's this going to go? Where do you guys imagine this to go? Through this one, through this one, through this one, to make a new low. Where does that put you?
Yep.
On a 5-minute chart, that's, you took 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes to get to here. So if you go 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, that puts you down under 130.
Yeah. I love trend lines.
See, well, you can see down here at the bottom of my screen, down here, look, it tells you candles, how far out each candle would be.
Yeah.
That's 3 candles. That's 4 candles. Okay, on a 5-minute chart. So where this 5-minute ended, this is your next 5-minute. I would have expected that one to come down into here. Okay, the next 5 minutes down to here. The next 5 minutes down to here. The next 5 minutes put you down here under 130. Once you break under 130, you'll come down and test the bottom of this broadening formation.
Yeah, and for a reversal up, that where that red line is, right at the top of that candle body, if you start to wick up, now that's an SR flip that invalidates the megaphone and upside.
Correct.
That's when I say micro flag. I'm saying there's a micro flag, meaning off of lows we're starting to flag up. But yeah, if you lose that, you're going to get lower, flat out.
Yeah, here's your 20 at the 20. Kind of come up above it, failed the 20, come back down. And tried to hold the 9 here. Right here, it tried to hold the 9 here, it tried to hold the 9 here. It would have come through the 9 here if it had more time. 10-minute chart. You can see. Here's an outside bar yet again. With a bearish engulfing right there.
Yep, and you didn't get over that. So you have the EMA crossover in terms of confirmation for the trend. You have when the EMA crossed over, that level has not been, replayed. Yeah, the 134 or whatever. When you get the crossover, if you start to retest the crossover level, then you're like, okay, is the crossover level going to get confirmed, or are we going to take it out to the upside and or a false breakdown? And here it's just repeated lows. And this is when you get that first breakdown at 11:45 a.m. You're just rejected it again here, almost like a micro double top.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And you can kind of see it chopped from. After it dropped down, it kind of chopped from 11:30 to realistically 12:30 before it got the next big drop. I mean, you could have stayed in this trade, really, because you did not reclaim any of this. On a 10-minute chart, you did not reclaim any of the 9 EMA. The only time you came up and retested it was the last few minutes of the day. That's it. The last 20 minutes of the day. You come up 30 minutes a day, you come up and basically retested the 9 and failed again. So on a 10-minute chart, here's the bottom of the broadening formation right here. 130.53. When it loses that tomorrow, which I suspect it will, you're going to come on down further. And then that invalidate, then basically the broadening formation just gets moved down because now you're making new lows.
Yeah.
And then you start looking for a reversal back to the upside.
Yeah, and when you start to realize,
that's how I think. I started looking for these right here. Here.
When that indecision candle does not, when that indecision candle on NVIDIA doesn't flag up, it's like you're getting new lows, period.
I mean, even on a 10-minute chart, this is a great trade right here. They bought it up, they sold it down, but they bought it back up. And when this candle turned green, there's your color changing reversal on a 10-minute chart. And to take that from 131.09 to 132.15, that's, what is that, $1 move? Really?
Right.
And they come over here and they bought it up some more and sold it down. But once this started coming back down, when you get back to this here, you know to get out. That's where you know to get out, because it's going to change colors. When it changes colors, that's when you go short. And now it's going to come back through the range. And I'm getting better about watching for these right here. I caught one on Apple last week, made me $250 in a matter of 30 minutes. You guys all watched that trade. I pointed it out. I said there's 15-minute color changing reversal. The higher the time frame, the more powerful the move. Remember that. The lower the time frame, the less powerful it is. The higher the time frame, the more powerful it will be. Because that gives gives volume time to come in.
Exactly. Yeah, you have bulls or bears pouring in for 4 hours, exactly. Let's say, versus like a 1 minute. Absolutely.
This end of the day rally, 30-minute rally, is just people closing these short positions right here. When this started changing color, all these guys started closing short positions. Right. Here, right here, right here, all the way up into here. And then they started selling it back down again.
Yeah. And it's creating a bear flag. And the peak of the bear flag is where the cross under happened. That's the peak of the bear flag,
Yes.
So that's
here's your bear flag.
Super clean.
And it's
so you brought the strat over, and now you're kind of candlesticks. And what's like kind of another main thing for you, just as I learn about your style here?
Money flow index, seeing where the money's going.
So where'd you pick up MFI? Where did you hear about that or find it?
The money flow index? Mm-hmm. Rob Smith, Strat was talking about it. And so the guy that's kind of taught me the strat, Jermaine, Strat Soldier, I hit him up about it. I'm like, so talk to me about the money flow index. He said, that is, as an oscillator and an indicator, he said, Rob found this one to be more accurate for what's going on at that moment in time.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
Do you know what that measures by chance? Because I know the MACD is 2 different EMAs. Do you know what this one is?
I don't. I will find out and let you know. But I know I followed it, and
let's see.
It's usually pretty dead on. It does have divergence.
It says
you can see here
it incorporates volume data. It makes it a volume weighted RSI.
What's that?
It says, I just Googled, it incorporates volume data, meaning it's a volume weighted RSI versus RSI is just the price.
Relative, right. Yeah, that's what it is. That's why he used it. That's right. I remember Jermaine saying that it was based off of volume versus price.
Right. So it's
So
volume, like a VWAP oscillator.
That means the volume's going down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
People are pouring their money out. Get my money out of there.
So, but when we have a sell-off though and volume's up, MFI is going down, even though a lot of times we get high volume sell-offs. So I mean I don't know much about MFI just from Googling it a couple times.
So the MFI is volume and price together, where the RSI is just price alone. MFI is volume and price. So if the money is flowing out, you know, like here, obviously it's selling down, but you had a higher volume, so your MFI kind of flattened out. You see what I mean?
Well,
but as the price comes down, this will start to turn and come down.
Right. Yeah, it's not like the line went down, even though price had a red candle versus green. It stayed flat because it's kind of running in place until the next move. And also, I think the biggest thing that I like that you, hearing you look at a chart and talk is when you see dojis, you're anticipating not necessarily am I doing calls or puts, but just what is the direction here? And that is huge because I like to only be in candle bodies when I'm already in a trade. You get a doji, you start to get above it. Okay, I'm in calls. Like let's say this candle, it went red. Okay, I'm in puts below the candle body of the doji. We reverse, I'm out, obviously, but do I short the pop? Do we get under the doji? Because doji means indecision. The next candle is very important. And when you look at the strength, you've been saying that. Say one more time.
So what a doji is they bought it up, they sold it down, and then they bought it back to flat. Or they sold it down and bought it up and then sold it back to flat. Is what, the plus sign, the doji, right there.
Right.
That is almost a perfect doji. Now, here's my problem with dojis is after a big up bar or a big down bar, people seem to always think that the doji means, we're going to come back up.
Yeah,
because it's green.
Right.
Or it's going to come back down because it's red. That does not, no, that is false. That is false. That has cost me more money than anything. I have learned on a doji, you wait till you take out one side of the range and hold above it for that candle before you get in that call. Before you get in a call, or you wait till you've sold down below it and confirmed. This candle, I would not have gotten in because it would not have, I would have waited till the next candle. And the reason why it would have been a confirmation candle under this range. Okay, here's a range. This is your range now. Right here to right here. That's your range now.
Yeah.
Okay. On a 10-minute chart, that is now a new 10-minute range right there. Every candle is a new range. So, for instance, first thing in the morning, your 15-minute opening range break. Okay, right here. Here's your opening range, 15-minute opening range right here. So, right here. So you got from here to here. Here's your range. Okay. This could not confirm above. Yes, it went above it. But did it confirm above it?
Mm-hmm.
No, it did not. It didn't confirm above it here. It did kind of here, but now look at what you have here. Why would you go along here?
Yeah.
On this.
Candle body's getting weaker, candle body's getting smaller.
Exactly. Your bodies are getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
The red candle took out two of the previous candles in one.
Until this candle right here confirmed under this here. Because now you've got a range from here. This is a 3. Here's a 3 bar, new outside bar right here. Bearish engulfing right there. Okay. It bought up above it, it sold down through it. The next candle bought up. As soon as it come back through, right here, you're okay to get it. Now you're good to buy puts.
Yeah.
Because you know now you have all this range to come to short down through. Each one of these wicks now is going to become a target. That one, there's a target. There's a target. There's a target. There's a target. Mm-hmm. There's a target. Even here's a target.
And that's where we bounced off of, even though it continued lower. That was the first bounce.
Bounced right in there. But look at this candle. Once this range started moving, once you started gaining momentum, all these longs have to start closing their position. Okay? And what happens when a long sells his position? You get more selling. Look at this. Big sell bar through that whole range right there. And now we've come clear through this range. And we're below this one. Look at where we're at right here. Where are we in? Well, I guess we filled that gap tonight right there, didn't we? But still, filled the gap here.
Yeah, you're still in downtrend.
This here,
sell pressure.
This 15-minute candle is a failed 2 up. So now we're going to come through this range. Once that started coming down, you're good to go short right here at 132. When it pushed down through that body right there at 132, you're good to buy puts. Put your stop loss right back here at 132.38 for a tight stop loss in case it decides to come back. Now, on a 15-minute chart, you're good all the way to here. You're going to come through this range at least. You're good to at least here. 131.04. Okay, that's $1 move. That's $1 move. How much does a contract, do the math on with your Greeks? It tells you how much that contract is going to gain for every dollar.
Yeah.
It moves. $1 move, on a contract, say you got 5 contracts and that $1 move pays 50 cents on 5 contracts, that's $250. Right there. That's a $250 10-minute or 15-minute scalp. And you can set a profit target here. Sell 3 of them here. Sell another one down here. Let your runner run. When you start seeing the color changing reversal, if it sells down, you see that starting to come back up, that means it's going to come back through the range. You sell your last one.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Kind of what I look for?
Yeah, I mean, you're playing the trend, which is key. You're not trying to, knife catch.
Right.
And once you decide, hey, we, hit the top of that megaphone, whatever, as you were explaining earlier, when we sloped up and then the candle body started to get smaller, we didn't flag there and continue higher. And even if that first breakdown did a dip rip, fine, you're long, but obviously that didn't happen. And when you take out either way, down or up, 3, 4 candles, you're going to get continuation.
Realistically, here's your trend line right here. That is basically your trend line. Right there. Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it. What happens when it broke the trend? When it started to turn and broke the trend, your color changing reversal right there. Come back down. Now you've got a new downward trend. See if I can draw this. I'm not very good at drawing these sometimes. Yeah, it come up through here, but that's on a bear flag.
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
And look, it was all.
Right.
So now you can take and actually.
That's exactly what I was saying earlier. You have a new trend line.
Now here's your trend line. See what I'm saying here? Hit it, failed. Hit it, failed. Down, come up, hit it, failed. So now where's it going to go? To the other side of the range. Look, there's your broadening formation. It's actually got a broadening formation.
And then you have the more immediate
a falling broadening formation right there.
Yep.
That's what you have. A new channel is what it's creating, a new downtrend channel is what it's doing. It'll come down here, probably going to bounce here, down, bounce here, back up, but each time it comes up, it's going to come up a little further. Each time it comes down, it's going to come down a little further until we create a floor. So we got to look for a floor. Where's our floor going to be? I'm going to say our floor is probably going to be back down in this area.
Yeah.
And then when we lose this area, where's our next floor? Down here.
I still think we retest that the bottom of the flush candle today because we touched that so many times. Look horizontally, May 14th
right
to today.
Right here.
Yeah. Just endlessly touch that line. It's like you have to see what happens, whether we get out of this little down channel and whatever happens there.
Now become a support resistance flip zone. Right there at 132.50 is now a support resistance flip zone right here.
Right. Yeah.
I would call this zone support and resistance flip. Realistically, I would. Now we have to come down to the next one. So this would be your next range right here. From right here from this floor to this ceiling now. There's your new range. If you want to put it in ranges, that's your new range. 132.91-ish. 132.80, actually. To 129.80. There's your new range. And we very well could range right here for 2 days. Very easily. But, you guys can draw lines here, right here and right here on a 15-minute chart, and you can play that 15-minute range. That's a big range. And you can make a lot of money doing it. When you get to the top of the range, look for your color changing reversal. When you get to the bottom of the range, look for your color changing reversal back up. I say this like I actually do it, and I do, but I don't at the same time. If that,
Yeah.
Here's Meta's 15-minute. Meta's really been range bound lately. I mean, we have some broadening here, a couple broadening formations here, but it's really been range bound. And it looks like, here's your flagpole, and you've got this long flag here. And And each time we're making lower lows and lower highs. So that tells me we're starting to move down with it as well. That's what I see, you guys.
Cool.
That's what I look for. That's how I trade. I'm looking for the color changing reversal patterns. And the nice thing is on your smaller time frames, like your 10-minute chart, on your color changing reversal, you know, what are you doing on the hourly chart? You know, jump over, look at the hour. What's the hour? Red. What's it been? Red. You know, what's most likely gonna do? Most likely it's gonna come down. I just wait for it to fail. When your 2 up fails, you know, when it fails, you just wait for it to fail or test a major area like VWAP, 9 EMA, 20 EMA, look for the reversal, and then go back into puts, back down. Because the hourly is red. It's still red on the hour. Just because it pops up doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to keep going up.
Yeah.
Look for your reversal. Anyway, that's what I have tomorrow. A loss of really, if we've been testing this hard right here, you know, look how many touches we've had here, guys. 1, 2, 3 touches. Here's one of your wick off distributions right here on a 1 hour chart. Look at this right here. Cleared out the highs, started coming down. Hitting your 9 here, failed. I think, you know, the next touch of push under 630 with momentum, I think we fill this gap. You've got an island. All this is an island out here. Inverse, cup, here's your cup, here's your handle. When it breaks down, there's a gap below. And here's another island right here. We lose that, we can come down here. And, you know, I know everything's been pretty bullish, but we're headed into the summer months. Summer months show weakness. I found that last year, that the summer shows weakness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, where does the volume dry up?
Just a few days from starting a new month. A new month, guys. And unless we get back up, you know, into this area here, over 650 this month still, that I think this just turns and comes back down. And we won't find support till about the 571 area. I think we'll come back and test this one more time. I really do.
Yeah, you like Meta. I know contracts can be a little bit expensive.
They're a little spendy. They are spendy. I like playing Meta. I do. But I look, you know, I jump out. I look for other things that are cheaper. What's KO doing? We've all look, inside day. Here's a setup for tomorrow. Anybody that's still in here, we've got a setup. A 1 bar, an inside bar is a setup bar. You know, you're within this range right here from 71.44 to 72.33. You're within $1 range. You got a 2 here, but realistically, you've got an inside bar, damn near an inside bar, an inside bar. You've got a EMA crossover here. If this breaks to the upside, we will go to the other side of this range. Look, we've come off the bottom of the broadening formation. Consolidated a little bit. What do you see here? Shoulder, head, shoulder. Where does this take you? Back to the top side of the broadening formation. You know, you could probably buy $73 calls next week and make money on this. Money flow index. Look what our money's doing. Volume is moved in. Price is moving in. Money's moving in right here. Inside bar, money moving in. That's a great setup for tomorrow right there. 9 EMA just crossed VWAP on the daily chart right there. That's bullish.
Yeah,
that's a bullish right there.
To me, we're flagging and then draw a trend line from the very top middle of your page or whatever, that high to where we're at today. Yep. That's my trend line that I need. And if we get over that, I'm in. Exactly. Yep. Get in, retest, I'm in.
You get a confirmation, an hour confirmation above $72. You get an hour confirmation above $72, you're going to start moving back up through this range right here on the daily chart. Yeah, it might take a couple of weeks to get up here, but you could probably buy calls a month out. Buy calls a month out. Stay close to the money. Buy $73 calls.
Yeah.
The closer you are to the money, the less risk.
I think
the more risk.
Your stop loss is that April 28th wick bottom. If you hold that April 28th,
here?
No.
Or no?
28th.
Here.
April 28th.
April 28th.
Yeah, right there.
Right here.
There. Nope, the green.
Yeah.
The green.
Oh, this one.
Because that's about a halfway point through the move to get the invalidate.
That's the 20.
Yeah,
put your stop loss at $70.
Yep, exactly.
$70 loss. You know what?
Yep. Look at the risk reward. $1.50 risk, and your reward is 76 to 80.
Yes. That's an amazing swing setup right there.
Flagging with a lot of these other tickers. A lot of these other tickers breaking down, NVIDIA and these other ones with KO holding that spot. That looks pretty good.
Yep. It's KR. That one is going to come down. You're coming back through the rain, you know. IS tested coming up. Let's see what else we got here. Boeing. Everybody's loved some Boeing.
Yeah, and look, new low on Boeing, push higher. That's another megaphone type pattern. You get that new low, and then you get the higher.
Yes. Yeah. My megaphones actually should come from back here.
Yeah.
Off this 3 bar. Not this 3 bar.
Well, if you because that line right there, if you extend that to the left, the top one, let's say you extend that to the left to January 11th, it's gonna be a support for that channel. Like,
yes, it is.
Go to your top megaphone line. Okay. Yep. Now, if that extended to January 13th, it's underneath that channel. Boom. Right there.
Here. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. It does. Yep.
So,
anybody that's in here, look at how the lines work on the megaphone patterns or any of your trend lines. Realistically, look how those work. I'll just do it this way because it's easy. Look at that. From clear back here in November of last year, You broke under that trend line. Now you've tested it here. I would guess where we've hit where we have here, and it's starting to curl over. Once it breaks back through the 9, what's our range?
Looks like a double top.
What do we do? And we start looking to start coming back through ranges.
We're gonna get 185 flat out.
What? Oh, very much so.
Because
in fact, you could damn near swing.
Yep.
Go to June, go to the end of June and swing a 185 call or put, or even a 195 put. The 195 put, end of June, swing it. It's going to make money. That's a money maker. All day long. That's a money maker. You know, this could be, you know, long-term portfolio stuff that, okay, I got an account that I want to swing something for. I got a swing account that I set up swings for 2 months out. There's your swing right there.
That looks like the NVIDIA intraday NVIDIA from today when it double topped.
No. Mondelez. What do we got? Mondelez. Not doing much. Inside bar on the week. Don't go there. PPG. Inside bar on the week. Oh. There's a. That could very well turn into a good short right there. 2 down on the day. Broke through your EMA and VWAP. You're now under VWAP. Tomorrow, this will fill the gap to 109 at least. And once it loses that, it'll come down and fill this gap. Here, that's PPG. There's some day trades in that right there. Right, there's some day trades.
Love it. Well, you down to do this next Wednesday as well, or whenever we can come on?
Absolutely. Eli Lilly, here's one that I found a short on early in the, or last week. I took the short on Eli Lilly and made a couple $100 last week on this.
Wow.
Our hourly's down. Look at this daily. Let's go to the daily. Full time frame continuity. Red month, red week, red day, red hour. What does that mean? That means they are selling the shit out of this. What are our insiders doing? Some people awarded. But there's another one to short. You could probably short tomorrow. And realistically, you're going to come back through this range here. I'll bet tomorrow you could short. That was a 3, 2 down right there. Another one of my favorite plays, a 3, 2, 2. You know, even if you short that to 712, buy a 715 put tomorrow on a day trade. It's going to come through the rest of this range here to here. Guarantee it. And then what does it do after that? Well, it'll probably come down to make new lows. Bottom of the broadening formation, 654. That could be a few days out, but a little bit of divergence here. Money flow up, but they're still down. So that you've got full time frame continuity. And on the monthly chart, realistically, it looks to me like they want at least 678.
Wow.
That would be magnitude. 678, 93.
Lower high.
679 would be magnitude.
Roku had that set up at 480, went to $45.
But once you lose this, look at all these longs it could take out. You don't have a good support to here till here. That's 500. And that was a double inside. It's an inside month, but it's a red inside month. Next month, this is going to go from a 2 down, 2, 1, 2 down. I might just buy some next month puts and just let them sit. That's how I swing trade. That's what I look for in a swing trade, is full time frame continuity to either the upside or the downside. SMCI, week, inside week, but it's a week inside week. That one's probably going to come on down. There's our daily. Here's your gap. You're just about to enter the gap. Tomorrow, you probably short that down to 38.80. And if it decides to keep on going, look, VWAP's clear down to 38.45. That's where I would look for the bounce, if there is one. SEMI is one of those shit stocks. Palantir, what's our Palantir doing? Inside week to the downside. See that? There. Next week, if this breaks down, where are we coming? At least to the 9. At least, which is 108. And that would test this area here again. That'd be a retest of this area. But I would guess it come down to take out the bottom of this 3 bar. Because that's a range. A 3 bar is a range bar.
Yeah, that was crazy to see the gap down.
And now we're selling it down.
Came back right back
we'll come
up.
to the other side of this range.
I was shocked that came right back up after earnings. That earnings drop.
Yeah, that was here. Or no, this is weekly. Yeah, that was here. And it bounced right back up. That's what I see on Palantir. Palantir. Oh, look at our daily. Here again. Through the 9. Here's VWAP. Break through VWAP. Where are we going? The other side of this range. There's that. And that's 105. Take all these guys out right here. And this is where I'd look for. That's where I'd look for support. Oh, there it is. 108. That's where I'd start looking for support. Off the top of the broadening formation. Here. 2. Once you've come off the top of the broadening formation, where does it want to go? The other side of the broadening formation. The other side of the range. Money flow pointing down. Looks like Palantir is good to go short on. Okay.
So you're a bear.
Anybody
right
have
now?
any questions?
I'm a bear right now. If we don't bounce tomorrow, it's gonna be bad. We're out
I'm
of this
telling you.
channel. This 65-minute channel I posted last night. We're out of it. So
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Since is it May?
Wow, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in here with us tonight. I hope I gave you guys some good ideas. I gave you some things to look for. I hope I taught you a little something tonight that'll help you make some money. Remember, guys, the higher the time frame, the more powerful the move. Always. Always.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate it.
You know, I'm always happy to look. Does anybody have any charts they want me to pull up and look at? Anybody? If you do, jump in. Tell me what it is. I've got no problem looking at a chart tonight and going over it with somebody. Reddit.
Ooh, Reddit, okay.
Yep. All right, let's take a look at Reddit tonight. Okay, monthly, red. Okay, 2 down. Where would I expect this to go? Bottom of this range.
Yep.
That's what I would expect. Weekly, same thing. You've got pretty much full time frame continuity to the downside. This week here, look, it's going, here's your, you draw a trend line here or here, but you've got a 2 down on the week, a solid 2 down. Daily, same thing. Okay, it's trying to pick up support here, but I would say more than likely you will come back down through this range to here to 87.30. That's where on a daily, that's where I'd start looking for a daily reversal. Tomorrow, if you want to get in this tomorrow, here's your trend line, okay? Right here. Oh. Here's your trend line, right here. Look for, let's come off of that. Look for a failure right in this area. It'll probably come up, test the 9. That's your hourly chart. Once you get up into here, look, then you drop into your lower time frame. You probably come up into here and test this right in here. 96 to 97. Pretty easily. But there's your trend line on a 5-minute chart. Look for the failure around the $96. It'll probably come up and then it'll start to sell back down and fail, is what I would guess. Go from 7:30 today, look at your 9. Basically, as long as you're below that 9 on a 15-minute chart, you're pretty safe to stay short. Now, when you get a candle confirmation above the 9 EMA, get out. So like I said, here's a 3 bar. Here, on your 15-minute, we'll see what it does in the morning. I will actually pull this chart up with you in the morning, and I'll watch it with you. And look, here's your little bit of a color change and reversal. So we may get a 3-2-2 back to here. Your next two bar is where I'll start looking for a failure. It's right in here. And that's about where your 20 is going to be, is about right there at $96, $98, $97. I'll start looking for a reversal right there to finish coming on down.
Someone said
the reason that is because
TTD next.
This thing has really just been dropping, and it really wants to take out these lows at 90.79. What was that other one?
TTD.
Total Trade Desk. Or the Trade Desk, I guess. Oh, okay. Ooh, 2 up. Failed. It failed here. at 83, where it tried testing these. You're on the monthly. Here, they're already selling it back down. Weekly, what are we doing on the week? This week, look, here's your fail right here of the 20. Your color changing reversal. Shooter. Baby shooter. Still a 2 down. Where is that going to take us? Through this back through the range here is what I would guess. If the market stay weak, this will be weak. It's already showing weakness. Daily. Here's your daily downtrend. Okay. When you lose the 9 here at 72.97, it'll come down and it'll test VWAP at 69.46. If it loses that, it fills the gap. It's just a big island out here is all that is.
Yeah, and the dips have been bought, so you know you need a big breakdown for all this stuff to get down, you know, for this bearishness.
That you do, but as of now, everything's starting a downtrend.
Yep.
You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of downtrend. You got a full week of down, and and that's what you're seeing here. It's our hourly. I mean, you've got a downtrend even on the hourly. You're trending down. You're not making higher highs. You're making higher lows, or lower highs and lower lows. Every time you're making a lower low. Mm-hmm. Look, here's a gap right here that you've already entered. So what do we know about gaps? We know that gaps like to be filled at some point in time. That puts you down to the 71 area here, 71.80. And that's on the hourly. The last hour of the day, yeah, there was a little pop-up here. The last hour of the day, it popped up and they sold it back down. That's an in, and so that's a 1 bar right there. That's an inside bar. You're still within this candle. They bought it up and they started, it bought up and it sold down to here. If you'd had more time, it would have broke the bottom of this and become a 2 down. So tomorrow I'd look for a 2-1-2 revert, 2-1-2 down to the downside on TTD tomorrow. I really would. And I would play it down to here. 71.70, 71.80. That would be my normal low a day. Ultimate low a day would put you down here in the 69.80. That's my ultimate low a day tomorrow. That's TTD. Look, that's the last 15 minutes of the hour. They bought it up. It failed. Hit the 9 EMA, failed. Come on down. Now it's going to come through this range. Where does that range take you? 74. Once you get below that, then, well, once you're below 74.12, $74, you get a candle confirmation under 74, you can pretty much bet your ass you're coming to here. 71.68, 71.80. Like I said, that would be my normal low of day. There, ultimate low of day brings you back down into the 69.90 area. That's ultimate low of day for tomorrow. TTD. Anything else?
Looks good. Thanks, brother. I think we're good.
Okay, you guys have a good night. It's 9:30 here. It's probably 11:30. It's 11:30 on the East Coast.
Yeah, late.
I will see you guys in the morning. Let's see, let's see what some of these are doing pre-market. Remember, mark your pre-market high and your pre-market low on the ticker you're watching. Your pre-market high, your pre-market low. 15 minutes. Wait for the first 15-minute candle to get your 15-minute range. If you can get a 15-minute, if you can get above it and hold above it, your next 15-minute candle holds above it or goes above it with strength, with momentum. Okay, that means you get, that gives you confirmation. If you go through it with momentum, you're okay for calls to the upside. If you go through the bottom of it with momentum, what does that mean? You take puts. But as weak as everything was into the close today, everything was weak into the close. What do I say? If it's weak into the close, it'll be weak into the open. If it's strong into the close, it'll be strong into the open. Rule of thumb, that works 90% of the time. Okay?
All right, man.
All right, guys.
You're the best.
I'm going to jump off and go eat some dinner and enjoy my wife for the night before she divorces me.
Sorry, man. Bye.
Okay, have a good night.